Hello everybody, welcome back to Power Topics. Today we'll be learning about Ohm's law. Before we move on, do you know what do these letters represent in this equation? V is the voltage. The voltage describes the pressure that pushes electricity. You can take a look at this battery. This battery has 9 volts. I is the current. A current is a flow of electric charge. And R is the resistance. This is a resistor. Resistance is a measure of the opposition to current flow in an electrical circuit. Now let's take a look at an example. A series circuit has a resistance of 3 ohms. By the way, this is the symbol of ohm, and a current of 3 amps. You have to calculate the voltage. So you can think of these obstacles as the resistance. So to find out the voltage, we multiply the current by the resistance. The current is 3 amps and the resistance is 3 ohms. And so the voltage would be 3 times 3, which is 9 volts. This is another example. A series circuit has a resistance of 2 ohms and a current of 3 amps. What is the voltage? Again, to calculate the voltage, you have to multiply the current and the resistance. Notice that the current has stayed the same from the previous example, which is 3 amps. But now, the resistance has decreased. So the voltage would be 3 times 2, which is 6 volts. So who do you think won the race? It's Bolt. Why? Well, take a look at here. The voltage of Bolt was higher than the voltage of runner A. Despite having more resistance, Bolt had an equal current as runner A. So to match this current, more force or more volts was needed to push the electrons. Take a look at this diagram. Do you understand now? I've represented this in a series circuit. So this is an ammeter. This measures the current, and this is the resistor. So for runner A and Bolt, you had 2 ohms of resistance and 3 ohms of resistance here, and the current for runner A was 3 amps and the current for Bolt was the same. So there is no components in the circuit, but just know that if you have more components in a series circuit, you will have more resistance, because the electrons will have to pass through each of the components, and that would add to the resistance. We know that to find out the voltage, we have to multiply the current and the resistance. What if I want to find out what's the current in a circuit? Well, you just divide the volt into the resistance. Let's look at an example. The voltage through a cell is 6 volts. The resistance is 2 ohms. What is the current? So you divide 6 by 2 ohms and you get 3 amps of current. Now in the next question, the voltage through the cell stays the same, and now the resistance has increased. What do you think will happen to the current? That's right, it will decrease because you have so much of resistance, so the flow of electrons will kinda slow down. Let's look at this example right here. The voltage through a cell is 12 volts. The resistance is 2 ohms. What is the current? Again, 12 divided by 2 is equals to 6. So the current is 6 amps. Now I want to find the resistance in the circuit. So I can just play with this triangle right here. And when I cover the R, I know that resistance will equal to V over I, which is voltage over current. Let's take a look at an example. The voltage through a cell is 3V. The current is 0.5 amps. What is the resistance? I predict that the resistance would be a lot because the current is so low. So 3V over 0.5 amps gives us 6 ohms, a resistance of 6 ohms. That's a lot. In this example, the voltage through the cell stays the same, but now the current has increased. What do you think is the resistance? Will it decrease or will it increase? I think it will decrease because the current has increased, which means the flow of electron has increased, so there is less resistance. In this example, the voltage through the cell is 10V and the current is 5A. So the resistance would be 10V divided by 5A, which would give us 2 ohms. Before you exit this video, draw a series circuit diagram that has 2 bulbs and a buzzer with a 6 volts battery. Make sure to include an ammeter and label the ammeter with 3A. If you want to know the instructions, they are in the comment section below.